We'll begin the assisted departure of Canadians from Tel Aviv in the coming days.
The effort to help Canadians out of a war zone.
Tonight, violence escalates between Israel and Hamas as a third victim from our country is identified. Good evening. We begin tonight with a situation that's deteriorating by the hour, 5 days after Hamas militants launched a deadly attack on Israel.
And we want to warn you about the disturbing content. Thousands of people on both sides of the war have died, including 3 Canadians. Former Montreal resident Alexandre Luc, 22-year-old Ben Mizrachi of Vancouver, and today we learned of Adi Vital Kaploun, a 33-year-old Canadian citizen with ties to Ottawa. CTV's Adrian Gabriel has the latest on the violence in the region and the effort to get people out.
Israeli warplanes hammered neighborhoods in the Gaza Strip, bringing buildings to the ground and sending people there scrambling to find safe passage as Gaza's main electrical power supply ran out.
Nowhere in Gaza is safe, and this is the general feeling of the entire population, not only myself.
Israel's military says the continued bombardment is targeting places of known Hamas activity in retaliation for Hamas's brutal surprise attack on Saturday.
I want only one thing for myself and for my family: to feel secure.
Moshe Malalev has seen the devastation firsthand as he volunteered with Israel's rescue unit, helping to identify the victims killed by Hamas militants.
They just butcher everyone over there. They didn't make any difference. Whoever came to their face, they killed them.
Hamas militants currently have more than 100 hostages in Gaza, and Israel's government is calling for their immediate release.
And we don't know where they are now. And we want the world to help us.
The government says 3 Canadians are currently missing, 3 others are dead. Canada won't say whether Hamas is holding any of its citizens hostage, but a team is en route to assist Israeli negotiators.
In any hostage negotiation, we don't confirm. Why? Because we don't want to increase the value of that person in the eyes of their tyrants.
Canada is expecting to start military evacuation flights for thousands of Canadians stuck in Israel either Thursday night or Friday morning, including Thornhill's Alva Yaffe.
I mean, everything. Safety. You just want to be with your family in times like these.
And CTV National correspondent Adrian Gabriel joins us now from Tel Aviv. Adrian, what's the threat level today in the region?
It was a varying threat level, Nathan. Here where we are in Tel Aviv, there were multiple air raid sirens. So that's a second day of multiple air raid sirens here in this city. Now, we just heard there from a mother who's trying to get back to Canada. She's got a 1-year-old, a 6-year-old. We went to the north to go and speak with her. Now, where we were is it's a ways away from the south, which is where Gaza is, which is where the fighting is, which is where some of the most dangerous hot zones are. But when we were in the north, as we wrapped up that interview, there were reports coming in that potentially militants from Hezbollah in the north and Lebanon may have broken into Israel and that they could be in some of the surrounding communities. There was then conflicting reports of potential drones or missiles. Thankfully, after about 20 minutes of scrambling into a bunker and trying to stay quiet, the all clear was given. But just a sample of what people are dealing with. It ended up being a false alarm today, but this is what citizens and families and children have been dealing with for days now.
And what are people that you've been speaking with saying about the growing conflict?
It is wearing on many of the people here, as on both sides. A lot of Canadians we've been speaking with, again, are desperate to get home. It's also important to note that there are roughly about 70 Canadians in Gaza who've reached out to the Canadian government. They're trying to get out. Government officials tell us that they simply don't believe that they can get in there and get them out right now unless some kind of safe humanitarian passage is made. People that we've been speaking with, they're just still in shock at the amount of death, at the violence that has taken place, and it's something that is going to stay with the people of Israel and of Gaza for many, many years to come.
All right, CTV's Adrian Gabriel in Tel Aviv. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
The images from the violence are bleak, concrete evidence of the deadly destruction.
And as Canada announces it will send military aircraft to evacuate people from the region, some say they can't get out fast enough. CTV's Rahim Ladani joins us in studio with their stories. Rahim.
Well, Nathan and Michelle, we continue to hear more firsthand accounts of how Canadians who are in Israel are feeling and what they have seen over this past week, and they're hoping the Canadian government will help them. With Canadian military aircraft en route to rescue Canadian evacuees, Barbara Schreiber desperately hopes she'll be able to board one of those flights after burying her 102-year-old father in Tel Aviv.
I came here to my father's funeral, was a Holocaust survivor, and I'm worried to think once again a Holocaust that came over my country, Israel. It's terrible.
The federal government says airlifts will begin flying Canadians to Athens and then to Canada later this week. Kyle Ungerman from Toronto is now waiting.
I submitted my form and everything, so just will be waiting to hear back from them. At the moment, I'm staying here.
The situation in cities like Tel Aviv remain tense. Meir Glusberg took this photo while on the ground after hearing the sound of air raid sirens.
So think about it on a major street, like a Yonge Street in Toronto. Everyone stops their car and everyone lies down on the ground. It's surreal.
Still, he plans to stay in Israel because his teenage son and daughter have been called back to their army bases, part of the 300,000 military reservists who have been called to serve.
We do message daily. Are you okay? You're not okay? And I know that I can see they're not available or their phones are off for a period of time, and then it's on again.
In Manitoba, the Jewish community is praying for the safe return of peace activist Vivian Silver, who leaders fear has been taken by Hamas.
Many people here have known her, have grown up with her, have interacted with her over the years, only to find out that sort of puts a face to a name and to the atrocities that we woke up to.
Amplifying Canada's ongoing connection to the violent conflict. The federal government says the number of flights available will depend on demand, which is why it is urging Canadians to register with Global Affairs. Reporting live, I'm Rahim Ladani. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Rahim. Developments in the Middle East are being watched in homes across the GTA.
And in one neighborhood, an act of hate related to the war is also being felt. CTV's Janice Golding joins us live from Bathurst and Glencairn with those details. Janice.
Hi, Michelle. The UJA Federation calls this the heart of the Jewish community in Toronto. And people who live here say they were hit very hard by an act of hate so close to home when they're already hurting about the conflict overseas.
We've blurred the image, but the message was clear to residents at Bathurst and Glencairn today. Graffiti comparing Israel to a terrorist state.
There's a lot of evil in the world. There's a lot of hate in the world. And that pains me to know that that actually exists.
Residents in this largely Jewish neighborhood hurt and outraged to see this message at a busy bus shelter during the morning commute, especially as the death toll continues to rise in the Israel-Gaza war.
It's a hard time for us as Jews, and it's just really scary that it's so close to home.
You see, you don't understand that you're here in Canada. In a million years, nobody was going to kill you because you're Canadian. But if you're Jewish, it's different.
B'nai B'rith was quick to condemn the incident, saying the Toronto police acted quickly and thankfully removed this garbage. We are not aware of any other incidents today, but we are shaking our heads in disbelief that people can be so ruthless in Toronto at a time like this.
Almost every single one of us knows somebody who's been murdered, who's been abducted, who's missing, or who's hiding in a bomb shelter right now in Israel.
Noah Shack, Vice President Countering Anti-Semitism and Hate with the UJA Federation of Greater Toronto, says the conflict overseas is deeply distressing and...
That's the context for this graffiti. Somebody deciding to go into the heart of the Jewish community and make a statement against Israel at a time when we are all being targeted. This sends shockwaves here.
Andrew lives in the neighborhood, and after seeing the message, he came back with cleaning supplies.
Trying to do what I can, get rid of it. And no one wants to see that. Doesn't make anyone feel good.
Toronto police had already spotted the graffiti and had it erased by 11 a.m. But even though the message is now gone, it's left behind an indelible, painful imprint.
It's disgusting what people are doing. This is our community. This is where we live. There's no room for hate. in this world, let alone our community.
Noah Shack says the UJA Federation is very concerned about security issues here in Canada. So he said he would be meeting with Toronto's police chief today to further discuss ways of keeping the community safe. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Nathan.
Thank you, Janice. And Toronto police say they're investigating another act of vandalism believed to be motivated by hate. Investigators say it happened at a mosque in the Danforth and Donlands area. Hate symbols were painted in front of it. Police do not believe it's related to the war between Israel and Hamas, as the vandalism happened on Friday before Saturday's attack.
Also tonight, how did $20 million in gold and cash get swiped from Pearson Airport? New insight into the heist that could make for a Hollywood movie as a lawsuit is filed against Air Canada. But first, let's head outside. We got some sunshine today. We can see some this hour, but there was plenty of cloud in the mix. And as we take a live look this evening, certainly not too bad for any outdoor activity. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Decent temperatures.
Not bad, Michelle. We managed to stay dry here in most parts of the GTA. There has been ongoing wet weather around Georgian Bay, Lake Simcoe, northern York region, northern Durham, and extending over toward the Peterborough area. Also a couple of lake effect showers off of Lake Erie and Lake Huron. This is all thanks to a low that just won't go. It will finally, though, move out tonight and into tomorrow. We are still experiencing some gusty winds coming out of the west. Temperature-wise, we made it to a high of 16 degrees today. Not bad at all. It's still a comfortable 12 at this hour. We will drop overnight tonight to a low of about 6 degrees, but that's normal for this time of year. Coming up, we'll talk about the pleasant short-range forecast and a bit of an unsettled long-range. Those details are ahead. For now, Nathan, over to you.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. The temperature may be dropping outside, but it's rising inside Scotiabank Arena. Puck drops on a new season tonight. From team preparations to fan excitement, we'll take you there live, still to come.
May the force be with you. Well, we're learning more tonight about a multi-million-dollar gold heist at Pearson Airport.
It happened earlier this year, but a lawsuit's now been filed against Air Canada. As CTV's John Woodward reports, it's raising questions about how fake documents were used to get to the precious cargo.
It sounds like the plot of a heist movie, but a lawsuit from security company Brinks alleges it was very real, saying Air Canada workers were duped into giving up a cargo of $1.9 million in U.S. banknotes and 400 kilograms of gold, a total haul of more than $20 million.
It looks like this was probably very well planned and very well orchestrated.
The lawsuit, filed in federal court in Toronto, says Air Canada Flight 881 carried the precious cargo from Zurich to Toronto on April 17th. It landed at Pearson at 3:56 p.m., was offloaded at 4:20, and entered Air Canada's warehouse at 5:50. Then, just 42 minutes later, at approximately 18:32, an unidentified individual gained access to Air Canada's cargo storage facilities. No security protocols or features were in place to monitor, restrict, or otherwise regulate the unidentified individual's access to the facilities. Then the lawsuit alleged that person presented a fake waybill. Air Canada accepted the fraudulent waybill from the unidentified individual without verifying its authenticity in any way. Had Air Canada made the necessary and appropriate inquiries in the circumstances, the unidentified individual's ability to steal the cargo entrusted to its care would have been entirely avoided.
During the course of this transaction, that individual was able to fool everybody and basically walk out the door with the gold and the banknotes.
Former police officers say the timing suggests the thieves knew more than they should have.
I think it's a reasonable inference to draw that whoever perpetrated this, no matter how many people are involved, had inside information.
Tells me they were ready and waiting.
Air Canada says it has no comment while the case is before the courts. Peel police continue to investigate, and nothing has been proven in court. The precise times quoted in this lawsuit indicate the presence of a digital and video trail, clues that may point to the thief and anyone else involved. John Woodward, CTV News.
Charges have been laid following a Canada Border Services Agency investigation in the GTA.
In May 2023, Offset executed a search warrant at the residence in Vaughan, which resulted in the seizure of prohibited and restricted firearms, magazines, ammunition, weapons, narcotics, and counterfeit currency.
Officers say they also discovered a number of police uniforms from several agencies, identity cards, badges, defensive equipment, and handcuffs. 38-year-old Mojib Ahmad Goraya of Vaughan faces 29 charges. The investigation was launched in March after a package containing guns was seized in Vancouver. It was being shipped to an address in Vaughan.
Could a tax increase help address a housing shortage in Toronto?
That was the focus of a debate at City Hall today as council debated hiking a fee for homes left vacant in the city. CTV's Natalie Johnson joins us live with all the details. Natalie.
Well, Nathan, tripling the vacant home tax was the campaign promise of Mayor Chow's. Today, council signed off on that increase, which takes effect in less than 3 months' time.
With as many as 19,000 housing units in this city deemed or declared empty as of August, the vacant home tax is set to spike.
You pay more if in the middle of a housing crisis, if you're leaving those units empty.
We're overstepping our boundaries as government.
Mayor Chow.
Today, council's signing off on a plan to triple the tax to 3%.
To try to deal with our housing crisis.
Starting in January.
Well, let's see what happens. I don't know that you're going to see large amounts of movement in the number of properties year over year that are shown as vacant.
It's a pretty significant tax, and would cost people a lot of money. It's a pretty compelling case to make sure that those units are going to be rented out.
In the meantime, the hike is expected to double the revenue it generates in the first year and bring in up to $110 million.
We are benefiting from income, but we don't want to be. We actually want these homes to be occupied by people.
Until then, the cash-strapped city will welcome the revenue.
What we're doing today with some of these revenue tools is telling the provincial and federal government we're doing everything we can. We need you on board to find the solutions.
Solutions that the mayor says are now in the process of being worked out. The so-called New Deal working group with the province now in full swing, negotiating a financial fix for the city.
They're working hard twice a week. Provincial, municipal staff, people with a lot of experience working through the numbers.
It depends now on the Premier. He created this problem when he was here with his brother, and in the things he's done as Premier, he has put the city in the soup that we are in right now.
The city will put some of the new revenue from the vacant home tax toward buying buildings that can be used as affordable housing.
We have fallen behind in building those units. That's why we have people living in tents in the city of Toronto.
A city in need of more homes and the money to pay for them.
And council also made some tweaks to the tax today, including an exemption for newly built homes for 2 years. Reporting live in the chamber, I'm Natalie Johnson. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. In Etobicoke, crews have now removed the last piece of a boring machine stuck underground. It was trapped under a residential street on Old Mill Drive near Bloor Street West since March of 2022. It had become ensnared in buried wires during prep work for the building of 2 nearby condos. Officials say the effort to retrieve the boring machine may end up costing taxpayers more than $25 million.
A federal amnesty order on certain guns is being extended for an additional 2 years. It applies to more than 1,500 models of assault-style guns. It was set to expire at the end of the month, but it will remain in place until October 30th, 2025. The amnesty was announced in 2020 following the deadly Nova Scotia shooting rampage. The Trudeau government says it has decided on an extension while working to set up the buyback program.
The Prime Minister toured parts of the Northwest Territories today, ravaged by this summer's wildfires. Justin Trudeau visited the community of Enterprise, where a blaze destroyed nearly all the homes and structures in August. About 20 residents have returned, but others are still staying elsewhere. Wildfires have scorched a record amount of area across the territory. 95 were still burning as of yesterday.
Ukraine's president attended a meeting of NATO defense ministers in Brussels. Volodymyr Zelensky made a pitch for more military aid.
Long-range air defense can also ensure the functioning of our corridors in the Black Sea and the Danube region. Air defense will ensure that Russian jets will not be able to approach our Ukrainian borders.
Kyiv wants more weapons as it tries to regain ground before the muddy weather sets in. But there's new pressure on allies to send weapons to Israel, and political chaos in the U.S. Congress has stalled approval of new funding for Ukraine.
Part of that is due to what is happening in the U.S. House of Representatives. It still needs to elect a new speaker, but today a major development on that front.
First, I want to thank my House Republican colleagues for just designating me as the speaker. Obviously, we still have work to do. We're going to have to go upstairs on the House floor and resolve this and then get the House opened again.
Republicans picked current Majority Leader Steve Scalise as the nominee, but a full vote on the House floor is still needed, and it's unclear if the Louisiana congressman will get the support needed from almost all of his fellow GOP colleagues to overcome the Democratic opposition.
In Houston, a first look at that sample collected from an asteroid 3 years ago.
The carbon and water molecules are exactly the kinds of material that we wanted to find. They are crucial elements in the formation of our own planet. And they're going to help us determine the origin of elements that could have led to life.
The sample scoop from the surface of the space rock includes water molecules locked inside clay-like minerals. Preliminary findings suggest there will be further discoveries supporting the theory that objects such as asteroids that struck early Earth seeded the planet with the ingredients for life.
The King will travel to Kenya later this month and acknowledge painful aspects of the UK's colonial past. The 4-day visit begins October 31st and occurs as the nation celebrates 60 years of independence from Britain. The monarch will meet with the Kenyan president and attend a state banquet, but the trip will also touch on the past of the former British colony. This will be the King's first visit to a Commonwealth nation since ascending to the throne.
Back here at home, it's a big night for hockey fans and Leafs Nation.
Puck drops on a new season in less than an hour's time. This is a live shot from Scotiabank Arena. Fans are streaming in, ready to watch their buds take on their rivals from Montreal. They're hoping for a win and just the start of a successful season. We will talk to some fans in a moment, but first, CTV Sean Leithong is live inside the arena with a look at how the team is preparing. Could this be the year, Sean?
That's always the question, Michelle, and this couldn't be a much better time for Leaf fans. You see them streaming in behind me right now. We know it's a new year. You can forget about everything that happened this year or the 55 years before that. You can just think about what's happening moving forward. Ask yourself, could this be the year? And right now, the team is undefeated.
The biggest stage in the city is set. Opening night, Maple Leafs and Canadiens with endless possibilities.
It's always a lot like Christmas, so you know, a lot of work, a lot of preparation, and you know, get to start a new journey.
Now all eyes are on the team with high expectations and new players getting an intro to hockey in Toronto.
Super happy for me.
Like 19-year-old rookie Fraser Minton, whose dream of playing in the NHL is coming true tonight.
Montreal Leafs on the home opener is a pretty surreal start for sure.
Fellow rookie Matthew Nyes, who made his debut in last season's playoffs, along with Minton, are part of a new Leafs look.
I'm just excited for him. I think we're both going to have a lot of energy and just really pumped to play.
One new Leaf who's been in the building for many opening nights, Max Domi, whose father Ty played 11 seasons in Toronto, but when it comes to his memories...
Wrong guy to ask. I spent a lot of time in the wives' room playing mini sticks, so didn't really care about the game out there.
After losing in the second round of the playoffs to Florida, the Leafs have added a number of players like Domi, known for their hard-nosed style, to complement elite scorers like Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander, something former Leaf captain Wendell Clark is excited about.
They're going to bring that little other side. We've got the skill side, and the guys we brought in are bringing some more to add to them. Not to play like them, but to add something to make them better players.
No matter what level of experience, 40-year-old veteran Mark Giordano says that opening night nerves will come, but...
There is a certain point during the game where everything sort of calms down because you realize you're good enough to play in the league.
And this new Leaf team will find out how good they are at 7 o'clock tonight.
One more change that we are hearing about that could happen tonight. We're hearing there's a possible change of the goal song. We know for many years it's been Hall & Oates, but the rumor is that could change tonight. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leithong. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Sean. And CTV's Mike Walker is talking to fans outside, forever faithful to their beloved Leafs. I'm sure they're saying this could be the year, Mike.
They say that every year, but there is definitely a lot of optimism heading into this season. Nathan, I have Scott, Mike, and Brian with me who have made the trip from Sydney, Nova Scotia for their first home opener. Scott, tell me, how excited are you for the home opener?
Oh, you know what? Great year. It's a big year for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're on the way up. This is our year. We came here to see the home opener. It's always an amazing atmosphere. Just excited to be here.
And Mike, what's your predictions, expectations for this season?
I'm going to pick the Leafs. Oilers are going to win the cup, though.
Some Canadian contingency in the Stanley Cup Finals. Let's see if that comes true. Brian, how are you feeling about the Leafs' chances this year?
I think this is the year. I agree with Scott. I think we got a great lineup, and I think we're Stanley Cup champs.
All right, well, fingers crossed. A lot of optimism here with Leafs Nation. We've been speaking with a sea of blue and white outside Scotiabank Arena. We'll hear more from fans a bit later in the show. For now, back to you.
Look forward to it. Thank you. Coming up, a longtime Hollywood power couple separated. Jada Pinkett Smith reveals she hasn't been living with Will Smith for years.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, home ownership has been a dream for many Canadians, according to recent surveys, but there are programs to help people buy their first home. We speak with a tax and mortgage expert about the best ways to save for a down payment. I'll have my report just ahead.
Well, it may be October, but the Atlantic hurricane season is still going. And today, another tropical storm was named. This is Sean. It is far out east in the Atlantic, not expected to strengthen and not currently a threat to land. Here at home, we are in for a pleasant day tomorrow. Wet weather, though, looks likely again for the weekend. We'll talk about a potential Colorado low coming up. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
With rising interest rates and high home prices, recent surveys have shown many Canadians have decided to delay buying a home.
And that's especially true for millennials and those in the Gen Z age group. But there are savings programs that can help. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Nathan and Michelle, starting in April of this year, Canadians were able to open a first home savings account. It allows you to save money for a home and get a tax break. Experts say if you use this program with others already available, it could get you closer to home ownership. With inflation and rising interest rates, home affordability has taken a hit. But if you're saving for a down payment, tax expert Evelyn Jacks says you may want to open a first home savings account before the end of the year.
It's a triple win: tax deduction in, tax-free savings, and then you've got the tax-free withdrawal if you buy a qualifying home.
With the FHSA, you can make annual contributions of $8,000 that are tax deductible. There is a $40,000 lifetime limit. The account can stay open 15 years, and you can withdraw funds tax-free to purchase your first home. Most banks and financial institutions now offer them. Mortgage expert Robbie Aurora says the program can be used with other savings plans already available.
You can stack this program with other programs that exist out there, such as the home buyers plan, where you can withdraw from RRSPs.
You are allowed to borrow up to $35,000 from your RRSP towards a home, but funds must be paid back within 15 years. You can also use money saved in a tax-free savings account towards the purchase of a home. Two people working together could stack the three programs and combine funds towards a home purchase. Of course, in the current economic climate, it can be hard to set aside money, but even if you don't buy a home, the FHSA may still be a good option.
That $40,000 or however much you have accumulated can be transferred into your RSP. So it's an extra RSP room that you ordinarily wouldn't have had, and that's great.
And even if you have owned a home before, you may still be eligible for the program.
If you have not lived in a home that you've owned or your common law partner or spouse have owned in the last 4 years, you are eligible as a first-time home buyer.
If your goal is to own a home in the future, a first home savings account may be worth considering. And you can find more information on the First Home Savings Plan through the federal government's website or with your bank or investment dealer. According to the Department of Finance, 150,000 Canadians have already opened one. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, to the forecast. I mean, it looks like fall. It feels like fall. Plus, the Leafs are playing tonight, so I guess it's official. It's a new season.
Yes, hopefully the Leafs don't fall. They actually win, but that's a different type of Leaf. Weather-wise, oh goodness, beautiful sunset, and we're heading into those cold, dark months where when you do have a decent day, you kind of celebrate. I feel like tomorrow looks like that one.
Tomorrow looks like the day to celebrate, and it's true. We're now watching the sun set through the 6 o'clock hour. It's getting earlier and earlier every night by about 2 minutes here, and as we make our way into the night tonight, we can expect relatively calm conditions, seasonal temperatures. Tomorrow's a pretty good looking day. There is wet weather in store though as we inch closer to the weekend. Weather is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train. 12 degrees at this hour here in the GTA, single digits in Wyerton, Muskoka and Sudbury. Overnight tonight, we're looking at a low near 6. It'll be closer to about 3 degrees though in Waterloo, and only 1 for the low in the Bancroft area. Nice day tomorrow. We will have some clearing. The afternoon is looking mainly sunny. 15 is our forecast high. We're just holding on to that 30% chance of a shower because of this pesky low that is finally going to depart. Winds are going to be coming from a bit more of a northerly direction tomorrow. They could be gusting close to 40 kilometers per hour. We're becoming used to that. Another look at where the showers are right now. For the most part, it is north of us as that low circulates, but there are a few showers to the south as well. We're escaping relatively dry here in the GTA. So there goes the low finally. There is another waiting in the wings, and this is a Colorado low. Some uncertainty when it comes to that low for your weekend. I'm going to talk about a couple of different scenarios, but first, there's tomorrow afternoon. It's looking great. Friday, we're going to increase the cloud cover, mix of sun and cloud through the daytime hours, and then perhaps a few showers as we make our way into the night. So this is the leading edge of that system. Models are disagreeing right now of just how much of an impact this will have on us in the GTA. So that's early Saturday morning. As the day goes on, we're expecting that southwestern Ontario will get heavy amounts of rain, possibly the GTA, but the low could track in a way that we have a dry afternoon. Right now, though, I just want you to be prepared for the fact that you might have to move your outdoor activities inside. 11 is the forecast daytime high, so that's a little bit cooler. Chance of showers into Sunday, potentially Monday as well. I do hope we'll see a little more in the way of sun Sunday compared to Saturday. And then a few showers follow us in through the middle part of next week. 1 week from today is looking pretty nice, 15 degrees and mainly sunny. That's your look at the forecast. Nathan, over to you.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. Calls to retract and step down after controversial comments are posted on social media about the war between Israel and Hamas. The reaction and the backlash coming up.
As the war between Israel and Hamas intensifies, there are also battles being fought on social media.
High-profile figures here at home are coming under fire for their public statements on the conflict. CTV's Allison Hurst reports.
Devastating, destructive, and divisive, the Israel-Gaza war is prompting heartbreak and tension around the world. Adding insult to injury, controversial comments made by public figures. A tweet from NDP MPP Sarah Jama yesterday afternoon said, "I'm reflecting on my role as a politician who is participating in this settler colonial system, and I ask that all politicians do the same," along with a statement for an immediate ceasefire in what she refers to as the long occupation of Palestine.
No Canadian of good conscience should be framing them as anything other than savage terrorists. And to see it come from a member of the legislature in Ontario was absolutely, gobsmacking.
Premier Doug Ford says in a statement in part, "As Premier, I'm doing what Ms. Stiles won't and calling on Sarah Jama to resign immediately as a member of the provincial parliament." The NDP leader immediately condemned the comments and demanded a retraction yesterday. Today, Jama replied to her initial tweet saying she apologizes, condemns terrorism by Hamas on thousands of Israeli civilians, and believes Israel's bombardment and siege on civilians in Gaza is wrong. Marit Stiles says today she understands the personal impact that this is having on her as someone with Palestinian family members, but at the same time has made it clear that all members of our caucus condemn Hamas's terrorist attacks, and we stand in support of the federal NDP's position in calling for an end to further bloodshed. CUPE Local 3906 received backlash for a tweet of solidarity with Palestinians. In a statement, it says, "We reject any characterization of our message as celebrating civilian death." And the executive is united against colonial occupation and stands in solidarity with those in decolonial struggle everywhere. Social media posts and tweets from CUPE Ontario President Fred Vaughan, including one saying he's thankful for the power of resistance around the globe, has led to anger. He followed up in a chain saying he never celebrated violence and hoping for people to be free is not violence.
To see him spinning this narrative again, piling on to the pain of Israelis and the Jewish community and people of good conscience in Canada is absolutely unforgivable.
CUPE Ontario also weighed in, saying members have shared the world's shock and horror at the attack on Israeli civilians by Hamas fighters and at the subsequent Israeli military assault on the people of Gaza. But now we find ourselves targeted by a highly organized pro-Israel lobby. It has targeted CUPE Ontario President Fred Vaughan and CUPE 3906 for their recognition of Palestinians' rights under international law to resist occupation through armed struggle.
These community leaders should be ashamed of the role that they're playing in pumping up these types of narratives and creating jeopardy for everybody involved.
A protest at CUPE's Thornhill headquarters is being tentatively planned for this weekend. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
U.S. Olympic champion Mary Lou Retton is in intensive care in a Texas hospital. The daughter of the gymnastics icon says her mother has a rare form of pneumonia and is battling for her life. The 55-year-old gold medalist was admitted more than a week ago. Her daughter has started a fundraising campaign for medical expenses. Retton does not currently have medical insurance.
Surprising news from the entertainment world tonight, raising the question, when is a power couple not a power couple?
Jada Pinkett Smith has revealed she and husband Will Smith have been separated for 7 years. CTV's Andrea Case joins us now with an explanation. Andrea.
I'm going to try, Michelle and Nathan. Good evening. Yes, it's reminiscent of Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin's Conscious Uncoupling. As for Jada and Will, surprising, confusing, separated since 2016, living apart, but not divorced, only in Hollywood. You wouldn't know it from this red carpet appearance at the Academy Awards in 2022, or here, but Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith were separated at the time. In fact, she and the Oscar winner split in 2016. Pinkett Smith, who is promoting her forthcoming memoir, Worthy, sat down with the Today Show.
Yes. It was not a divorce on paper,
right,
but it was a divorce. So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now.
Yes.
Y'all have been apart.
Yeah.
Married in 1997, they now live separate lives and are not legally divorced.
Just not being ready yet. Still trying to figure out between the two of us how to be in partnership. And we decided...
I was done with
You kicked me to the curb.
I was done with you.
The couple were mired in controversy in 2020 when singer August Alsina revealed he had been romantically involved with Jada, his friend's mother. He was about 23 at the time, she 45. Pinkett Smith referred to it as an entanglement.
You need to say clearly what happened.
As far as what?
You and I decided we were going to take our space, and what happened? An entanglement?
Yes.
Then came the slap at the Oscars in 2022. In an upcoming People magazine interview, she says she thought the slap was a skit worked out between Smith and host Chris Rock. She and Rock have a history, including working on the animated Madagascar film series. And she went up against him in 2016. Rock was hosting the Academy Awards that year. At the time, the campaign Oscars So White was underway. Add to all of that, she claims Rock asked her out when divorce rumors swirled. As for why they haven't divorced,
I made a promise that there will never be a reason for us to get a divorce. We will work through whatever. And I just haven't been able to break that promise.
Will the book be worthy of a read? You can find out on October 17th. That's the release date. For CTV News, I'm Andrea Case.
Tonight is brought to you by Lastman's Bad Boy. Who's better? Nobody.
You can add Disney to the list of things you'll have to pay more for these days as parks raise prices for passes and tickets. What you'll have to shell out to experience the magic after the break.
Good evening. On the next CP24 breakfast, it's World Arthritis Day.
And tens of thousands of Canadians of all ages are affected. We'll talk about who it's impacting and how to manage it.
That's on the next CP24 breakfast, up first at 5:30.
The violence must end, hostages must be released, and civilian lives, Israeli and Palestinians, must be protected.
Updating our top stories, officials call for an end to the fighting as a third Canadian has been confirmed dead in the Israel-Hamas war. Ottawa says it's working to assist Canadian citizens in the region. At least 2,300 people have died as a result of the recent violence.
It looks like this was probably very well planned and very well orchestrated.
New details are being revealed about a multi-million-dollar gold heist at Pearson Airport. Security company Brinks is suing Air Canada, claiming the airline's employees were duped into giving up a cargo worth more than $20 million.
We're asking speculators that are leaving units, apartment units, empty in the middle of a housing crisis to pay a bit more.
City councils voted to increase the vacant home tax from 1% to 3%. City staff had recommended increasing the tax as part of an effort to shore up the city's budget. Last year, the city collected $54 million from the tax.
Remember to keep up to date day and night through our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca, and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video breaking news, let us know.
On the markets, the Canadian dollar fell 10 points to settle at 73.55 U.S. American benchmark oil slid $2.06 a barrel to 82.7. And the TSX Composite Index gained 162 points to end the day at 19,663.84.
As of today, a visit to the happiest place on earth will cost more. Some Disney theme park prices are going up. Single-day tickets at Walt Disney World in Florida are staying the same, but annual passes have increased by 10%. In California, the cost of a ticket on the most popular days at Disneyland is up 8% to $194. The company recently revealed a $60 billion spending plan on its parks and cruises.
I'm Mike Walker outside Scotiabank Arena, where the puck is set to drop on a new season. Coming up after the break, we'll hear expectations from Leafs Nation.
Tonight, Canada's plan to get its trapped citizens out of Israel.
To get me and my girls home to safety. That's all I want right now.
The airlift and the team of hostage negotiators as this country mourns a third victim. Later on CTV National News.
A reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight, and a special what's up to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
We're now just minutes away. The Toronto Maple Leafs begin their quest for the Stanley Cup tonight.
It's their home opener, and Scotiabank is buzzing inside and out. CTV's Mike Walker is with fans in Maple Leaf Square. Mike.
Well, Nathan, Michelle, fans are filing into Scotiabank Arena, which is expected to be allowed tonight for the Leafs home opener. A lot of fans we've been speaking with pretty optimistic about this upcoming season, and with the new additions made to the team, have high expectations. Hockey is back in Toronto.
Go Leafs, go!
And excitement is building outside Scotiabank Arena.
I'm feeling good this year. Seems like we got a good team, and it's our year.
I'm feeling pretty good this year. I feel good every year, though, so it's we'll see what happens.
The season opener is always special for Pam and her son Chris. Their family has been season ticket holders for 52 years.
And it was my dad who got the season's ticket, so it's been in the family a long time, and every one of us love the Leafs. Die-hard fans.
Mark is a lifelong Leafs fan from Connecticut. This is his first time in Toronto.
It's been 31 years. For me, I've been waiting to come see a game in Toronto.
A new season brings hope and high expectations.
I think we're definitely going to get past the second round, and I'm hoping all the way to the Cup, baby.
The core four of Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and Tavares are back, but Leafs Nation will tell you this season feels different with the additions of Max Domi, Tyler Bertuzzi, and Ryan Reeves.
In the sense that we have a little bit more, I think, more grit on the offense. We're going to finish first in our division.
the forward depth we've got and the grit with Domi and Bertuzzi is going to give the Leafs like a really good shot this year.
After making it past the first round of the playoffs for the first time in 19 years, fans already looking ahead to a deep playoff run next spring.
Get past the first round, and I'm not going to be happy until we get a cup.
And now I think our guys are matured, and now we've got a better roster, I think, and I think it's our year.
As usual, I'm optimistic, but we got to put in the work, and we'll see what happens.
And it starts tonight. Game 1 of 82, and there's a lot of optimism from Leafs Nation, who we've been speaking with tonight. Puck drop is just after 7 o'clock. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Nathan Michelle, back to you.
All right, it's been 56 years you say plan the parade.
Oh,
This
why
is the
not?
year.
Let's do something different this year. Let's plan the parade now. That means we have to win the Stanley Cup this year, and hopefully a blue sky tomorrow in commemoration of the new season.
Yeah, that would be good, and it looks like we're going to have that for tomorrow afternoon, and maybe by parade time in June of next year, the weather will be a little bit warmer than it is right now. Here's one more look at the satellite and radar. A few showers out there, less so around the GTA, but other portions of southern Ontario. Tomorrow's high is expected to be around 15 degrees. Not bad. The seasonal average is about 14 right now, so we'll take that. Pleasant looking day. Just prepare for some wet weather that could impact your weekend plans. We'll see how the models update over the next 24 hours here, but keep the umbrella handy at this point. It's going to be a little bit cooler into the early part of next week, too. Nathan and Michelle.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, that's it for us, but be sure to join Sandy Ronaldo tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching and have a great night.